open another door and find a giant golem made out of flesh. They burn it alive and Dickus almost dies. They find the captured maiden Belle and retreat for the day. We wake up at Brian's house and notice that Carrie is missing. Carla finds a note in her pocket saying,
"I'm getting out of here. I know you don't give a shit about me. You give a shit about yourself. So I'm dead.
Hell yeah.
Can you save me?
Belle rewards us for finding her by giving us 1,000 gold. She also tells us of the powerful magical weapons, phantasmal pieces, and that some guy named Cinder Forge wants them. She gave us another quest to find Puss-san, the guy in the wanted poster. Before all that, Brian makes his coffee for 30 minutes, and it was apparently so good, Cain joins the coffee cult right afterwards. After Dan gives a severed head to Michael, we decide to go back to the catacombs and find Puss-san immediately. A zombie approached us and Dan used Control Undead and turned out to be Puss-san. We ordered him to go back to Brian's place as we continue into the catacombs. We found ourselves in a room filled with weird statues with bloodstains on them. Like an idiot, Bickus touches it and the room gets filled with poison gas. Then Bickus and Rowan hallucinates their worst fears. Donald Trump grabs him by the groin, and Rowan sees snakes with spider legs. Rowan attacks the monster and Harlot gets hit. Harlot slaps her so hard, the effects wear off while Dan had to waste a spell slot. We enter a room with a Drow elf at the end. He introduces himself as Cinder Forge and claimed responsible for kidnapping Belle and making the golem and the bat monster. He monologues about renewing the nation and gaining all of the phantasmal pieces to do it. He takes a liking to Cain and asks him to join the cult, the Order of the Mark. Cain agrees with this plan and feels an immense pain in his chest, and a giant runic symbol appears on him. Cinder turns around and asks the rest of the party if they'll join him and destroy the town or die protecting it. Cain realizes the coffee is in danger and suddenly doubts himself about joining this guy. Dan steps up and questions Cinder about his master plan and grand vision, stalling for us. Cinder realizes this and prepares for battle. He pulls out his phantasmal piece, a magic hammer that can transform or create anything, and makes a suit of armor with the surrounding rubble. He also awakens his shield guardian. The guardian has 150 HP, but Cinder only has 50 HP. But because of his armor, he is really hard to hit. So the whole match was, Dan kept trying to hit him, but rarely even dents him. Also, while attacking him with a spear, his armor gained the properties of the end of his spear after touching it, so he went from untouchable to hyper muteki. Bickus was doing the same thing as Dan, but almost died and no one healed him. Rowan kept missing all of her shots. Harlot cast Animal Messenger to send her will and final words to Brian, and Cain was the only one who can do any damage because of his Shatter spell. After damaging Cinder quite a bit, he said he didn't expect us to go this far and leaves by tearing into reality, making a portal and walks through it. Before he left, he ominously said, "I hope you weren't planning to get coffee," and we immediately head to Brian's place. The entire building was enraptured in flames and we found Brian's body. Cain healed him a bit and Harlot used Detect Thoughts to see what happened to him. He got stabbed 28 times by Cinder and he whispers, "If you're searching for me, I'm at the Dragon's Nest." We all then go to Belle's place and rest for a bit. Cain goes up to Belle's father's office to explain him the situation and that we need a proper force or power to fend off this evil. After embarrassing himself and taking off his clothes, in the end we got him to at least talk to someone else about this. After that, Cain decides to comfort Brian a bit by just hugging him and immediately wants to have a gay relationship with him. Dan went off to inform Michael and the guards about the situation as well and gives them the shield guardian he was carrying around to be investigated. Before this whole session ends though, we hear the words "bath time" being whispered and someone knocks on Belle's door. She opens it and finds a small thing donning a knapsack many times its size, internally young, yet exceptionally old, It's Hath, the traveling salesman. It pulls out a gacha machine and everyone is peer pressured into buying something from it. Cain gets a hat that gives him +2 charisma. Dickus gets an O's cell medal, which Harlot wanted and would have traded 50 GP for, but instead wants me to spin, so we could trade those. I got Enchanto Dust, which lets the user cast a reasonable special enchantment on anything, and we trade. Dan got a Sonic Screwdriver, which lets him lock and unlock doors, also store up to 3 AoE spells and cast them. Rowan got a Horny Tiara. Will they defeat Cinderforge? Will they ever see Carrie again? Will Dan continue his whole menagerie with the guards? And will Cain actually have a meaningful relationship with Brian?
Will Biggest eat anyone? Will Rowan do something?
And will we get out of the first goddamn town already?